I'm Paige. I'm 34 years old. 2 months ago, I woke up in a hospital bed and learned that my newborn daughter was being cared for by someone I didn't know. The reason was simple. My own mother chose a night at a casino instead of being there for her grandchild. For 9 years, I quietly sent my parents $4,500 every single month. That adds up to almost $500,000. Not once did I hear a thank you. Then came the night I was lying in the emergency room with a collapsed lung and 3 broken ribs. My baby was alone in the NICU, and my mother told my husband, "Paige always has these emergencies. Your sister never has these problems." 3 hours after I canceled every transfer, my grandfather walked into my hospital room holding a thick folder. What he said next changed everything. Before I explain what happened, if you enjoy stories about standing up for yourself and seeing accountability come full circle, please like and subscribe, but only if this story truly resonates with you. Leave a comment as well. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Now, let me take you back 9 years to the day I made the very first transfer that started all of this. I was 25, newly graduated, and my first real paycheck had just landed in my account. I remember staring at the balance like it was unreal. Then my phone rang. "Paige," my mom said, her voice breaking. She was crying. "It's your father. He's had a small stroke." My heart dropped. "What? Is he okay?" "He's stable, but we don't have good insurance. The medical bills, and we're already behind on the mortgage. They're talking about foreclosure." I tightened my grip on the phone. "How much do you need?" "I hate asking this," she said. "You just started working, but you're the only one who can save this family." We agreed on $2,000 a month. I set up the automatic transfer that same night. Before hanging up, she added, "Don't tell your father. He'd be so ashamed. This stays between us." I agreed. Of course I did. What kind of daughter wouldn't help her family? She never said thank you. Not that night. Not ever. Instead, she said, "This is what daughters do." 3 days later, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw a post from my sister, Megan. She was smiling at the camera, holding a Louis Vuitton bag. The caption read, "Best mom ever." I stared at that photo for a long time. I almost called my mom to ask about it. Almost. Instead, I told myself, maybe the bag was discounted. Maybe Megan was struggling. Maybe I was being selfish for even questioning it. That was the first lie I told myself. It wasn't the last. By year 3, the amount increased to $3,500. "Megan wants to take an online marketing course," my mom explained. "She's found her passion. She wants to be an influencer." By year 5, it was $4,500. "The house needs repairs. Your father's health isn't improving. You know how expensive his medication is." I didn't argue. I adjusted my life instead. I canceled my gym membership, stopped eating out, and took freelance consulting jobs on weekends just to keep up. Daniel and I had been dating for 2 years by then. He noticed. "Paige, when are we going to talk about buying a place together?" he asked. "Soon," I said. "I just need to save a little more." He didn't push, but one Thanksgiving, after visiting my parents, he asked something that stayed with me. "Have you noticed your mom never asks how you're doing?" he asked. I laughed it off. She's just busy. She had spent 40 minutes talking about Megan's Instagram followers. She didn't mention my promotion once. I didn't have an answer for that. What I did have was a memory. 4 years ago, my grandfather called me unexpectedly. Grandpa Harold. My mom always said he was too busy for family and didn't really care. That day, his voice was gentle. "Paige, I need to ask you something. Are you happy? Is your mother good to you?" I hesitated. Something about his tone made me uneasy. "Yes, Grandpa, everything's fine." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "If that ever changes, you call me. Promise." I promised, then I hung up and forgot about it. I shouldn't have. The pregnancy changed everything. I was 33 when I saw the two pink lines. Daniel cried. I cried. For the first time in years, something shifted inside me. I started doing the math I'd been avoiding. $4,500 a month, 12 months, 9 years. $486,000. I could have bought a house, started a college fund, taken a real vacation. But I pushed those thoughts aside. What mattered now was the baby. I called my mom. "I have wonderful news. I'm pregnant." "Oh, Paige, finally," she said. "I was worried you'd never give me grandchildren." I let that go. Then I said the harder part. "Mom, with the baby coming, Daniel and I need to save. I was thinking I could reduce the transfers to $3,000 for a while." Silence. 10 seconds. 20. "After everything we've sacrificed for you," she said, "do you know what medications your father takes? Do you know what they cost? You're only thinking about yourself." I didn't reduce the amount. Before the call ended, I heard my dad in the background. Quiet, tired. "Linda, maybe we should let her." "Robert, stay out of this." The line went dead. That night, I couldn't sleep. I checked my mom's Facebook. 3 days earlier, she had posted photos from a spa day with friends, cucumber slices over her eyes. The caption read, "Self-Care Sunday with my girls." The same week, she told me my dad's prescriptions were draining them financially. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Daniel found me crying at 2 a.m. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing," I said. "Hormones." Another lie. 7 months pregnant, exhausted, still sending the money. One evening, Daniel sat me down with a spreadsheet. "I need you to look at this," he said. He had tracked everything, every transfer, every explanation, every promise of just one more month. "This is $486,000, he said. "That's 2 house down payments. That's Emma's entire college fund. That's decades of retirement savings." I tried to defend it. "They needed it." "Did they?" he asked, turning the laptop toward me. "Your mom posted about new furniture. Your sister just got back from Cabo. Your dad's medication somehow costs more than cancer treatment." I had no response. "If this continues, what does our daughter learn?" Daniel said. "That her mother is an ATM, that family means giving until there's nothing left." I whispered, "What if I stop? What if they hate me?" He took my hand. "Then you'll find out what you're worth to them." I wasn't ready to find out, but sometimes circumstances decide for you. 2 months later, I was in a hospital bed with a punctured lung, my baby in the NICU, and my mother's voice echoing through my husband's phone. "Paige always has these emergencies. Your sister never has these problems." October 18th, Thursday, 9:47 p.m. I remember the time because I had just checked my phone. Daniel had texted, "Drive safe, love you." I was 36 weeks pregnant and exhausted after a late meeting. Rain was pouring, blurring the headlights. I was 3 miles from home at the intersection of Maple and 5th. I had the green light, I'm sure of that. The pickup truck ran the red. One moment, I was thinking about a warm bath and sleep. The next, metal screamed, glass shattered, and everything spun. I felt the impact in my chest, in my bones, in the place where my daughter was supposed to be safe. The airbag deployed. Something broke. More than one thing. I couldn't breathe. Every inhale burned. Sirens grew louder. I reached for my belly. Still round, but I couldn't tell if she was moving. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" voices said. "She's pregnant. We need to move now." I tried to speak, tried to say, "Save her first." Nothing came out. The last thing I saw was a young paramedic's frightened face. The last thing I thought was, "Please, not her." Then everything went dark. I didn't wake up for 14 hours. When I did, I would learn exactly what my family was made of. Daniel was in Seattle when the call came. The caller ID read Denver General. "Mr. Reynolds, this is Dr. Okonkwo. Your wife has been in a serious accident." He doesn't remember packing or calling the airline, only running through the airport asking for an earlier flight. "Is she alive?" he kept asking. "Is the baby alive?" "Your wife is in surgery," the doctor said. "Emergency C-section. The baby is in the NICU. Paige has a punctured lung, 3 broken ribs, and internal bleeding. She's critical but stable." Daniel stood in the airport, unable to move. 6 hours. He couldn't get to us for 6 hours. He did only one thing he could think of. He called my mother. She lived 20 minutes from the hospital. The phone rang 4 times. "Hello," she said, cheerful and relaxed. "Linda, it's Daniel. Paige has been in an accident. She's in surgery. The baby—" "Oh my God," she said. "Is she okay?" "I don't know," he said. "I need you to go to the hospital, please. I can't get there for 6 hours." A pause. Pure, overwhelming panic. The nurse noticed immediately. "Your daughter is alive," she said gently. "She's in the NICU. She's very small, but she's strong." I started crying and couldn't stop. About an hour later, they removed the tube. When I finally spoke, my voice sounded rough and dry. "Where's my husband?" "He's on a flight," the nurse said. "He should land in about 2 hours." "My mother?" I asked. The nurse hesitated. That pause told me everything. "No family has come yet, ma'am." No one. My daughter had been born, and not a single person from my family had shown up. I asked for my phone. They had recovered it from the wreckage. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. There were no missed calls from my mom. No messages. Nothing. There was, however, one notification. An Instagram post from Megan, time-stamped 3 hours earlier. A selfie on the deck of a cruise ship, cocktail in hand. The caption read, "Living my best life. Caribbean vibes only." I set the phone down. "I need to hire a night nurse," I told the attending physician. "Someone to stay with my daughter in the NICU until my husband arrives." They contacted an agency. 40 minutes later, a woman walked into my room. "Mrs. Reynolds, I'm Maggie. I'll be taking care of Emma tonight." She was in her mid-40s, with kind eyes and confident movements. She glanced at my chart, then paused. "Reynolds? Paige Reynolds?" "Yes." She looked at me more closely. "You used to say his biggest regret was not speaking up sooner." I didn't understand what she meant. She studied my face. "Would you like me to contact him? I still have his number." I shook my head slowly. "Not yet. I need time to process everything." She nodded, respecting my decision. Before leaving, she wrote something on a notepad and placed it beside my bed. "Just in case you change your mind." I didn't know then that someone else had already made the call. My heart skipped. He talked about me? Maggie stayed for a moment. "He said you were brilliant, that you worked too hard, that he worried about you." She paused, "and that his biggest regret was not speaking up sooner." I didn't understand that either, not yet. After Maggie left to check on Emma, I lay alone in the dark. My right arm was in a cast. Every breath sent pain through my ribs, but my mind felt clearer than it had in years. Using my left hand, I opened my banking app. The transaction history loaded. 9 years of transfers, automatic, precise, $4,500 every single month. I scrolled back and back. There were no thank you messages, no acknowledgments, just money leaving my account, endlessly. My finger hovered over the settings. Manage automatic transfers. My mother's voice echoed, "This is what daughters do." But another question followed. What do mothers do? What do mothers do when their daughters are bleeding in emergency rooms? They show up. Unless they don't. I tapped the screen. Cancel transfer. Are you sure? Yes. Cancel transfer. Are you sure? Yes. 9 years, $486,000. 3 taps. That was all it took. I set the phone down. For the first time in almost a decade, something eased in my chest. It had nothing to do with my injuries. I should have done it years earlier. 3 hours later, my hospital room door opened, and my grandfather stood there. He looked just as I remembered, tall, even at 78, silver hair neatly trimmed, eyes sharp from decades on the judge's bench. "Paige," he said, his voice breaking. "My girl! I came as fast as I could." I cried immediately. He crossed the room and took my uninjured hand. His grip was steady. "I'm here now," he said. "I'm here." I couldn't speak. It had been 4 years since I'd last seen him. My mom always had explanations. "Grandpa's traveling. He's busy with his foundation. He doesn't really do family visits anymore." I managed to say, "Mom told me you didn't want to see me." His jaw tightened. "She told me the same thing about you." We stared at each other. Years of manipulation became obvious in that moment. "Daniel called me tonight," Grandpa said. "He told me what happened, what your mother said." Shame washed over me. "Grandpa, He squeezed my hand. "You don't apologize. You have nothing to apologize for." He reached into his coat and pulled out a thick, worn folder. "Paige, I need to tell you something. I've known about the money for some time." My stomach dropped. "What?" "The monthly transfers for 9 years." He opened the folder. Inside were bank statements, my bank statements. "I've been watching," he said quietly. "Old habits." Every transaction was there, clearly documented. "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked. He was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried regret. "Because I made the same mistake with your grandmother. I saw problems and stayed quiet, hoping they would resolve themselves. She passed away before I fixed anything." He met my eyes. "I thought if I gave Linda enough time, she might choose to do better. Instead, she used that time to trap you." He pulled a chair closer. The folder lay open between us. $486,000, he said. "That's what you gave them." I nodded. "Do you know what your mother tells people?" he asked. "She says you're selfish, that you never help. She told me last Christmas that you refused to pay for your father's medical bills." My mouth fell open. "That's not true. I've been paying for everything." "I know," he said. "That's why I looked deeper." He showed me another document, printed emails. "3 years ago, your mother asked me to change my will. She wanted everything left to Megan. Her reasoning was that you married well and didn't need support." I felt sick. "I didn't change it," he said. "I wanted to see who she really was." He leaned forward. "Tonight, she showed me." "Grandpa," I said, confused, "how did you know about tonight so fast?" He smiled. "Someone called me. Someone who'd been watching, too." The door opened. It wasn't a nurse. It was my father. He stood there, eyes red, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. "I called him," Dad said quietly. I couldn't stay silent anymore. Before I could respond, the door opened again. My mother walked in, wearing a silk blouse and full makeup. I could smell her perfume from across the room. I later learned what brought her there. Around 2 a.m., Grandpa called her directly and told her he knew exactly where she had been. She hadn't come for me, she came for damage control. She froze when she saw Grandpa. Then she noticed my father. Her expression shifted quickly. She rushed to my bedside. "Paige, my baby! I came as soon as I heard." I looked at the clock. It was 3:47 a.m. The accident had happened at 9:47 p.m. "Linda," Grandpa said calmly, "you arrived 6 hours later. Where were you?" Her hand stopped midair. "Traffic. I couldn't get away." "You were at the Desert Rose Casino," my father said quietly. "I tracked your phone." Her face flushed. Then she smiled tightly. "I was with friends. Am I not allowed to have friends?" "While your daughter was in surgery," Grandpa said, "while your granddaughter was alone in the NICU?" She turned to me. "Paige, you understand. Daniel exaggerates." "Mom," I said, my voice steadier than I'd expected. "Stop." She blinked. "I heard what you told Daniel. I know exactly what you said." I looked at her carefully. "Don't ask me to save you. I can't do that anymore." I paused. If you're watching this and you've ever had someone who always had excuses, who wasn't there when you needed them, but expected everything from you, I understand. Share in the comments if you've ever reached that moment of clarity. Back in the room, the silence was heavy. Grandpa lifted the folder. "Linda, you need to see this." He held up the bank statements. "Every transfer Paige made to you over 9 years." Her face drained of color. $486,000, Grandpa said. "She delayed her life for you. You repaid her by lying about her." Dad stood silently, defeated. "And you," Grandpa said to him, "you knew." "Yes," admitted Dad, "I was afraid." "I'm sorry, Paige," he said. "I was wrong." Mom tried to argue, but Grandpa stopped her. "You didn't need support," he said. "You wanted convenience, luxury, control." For the first time, she had no response. Dad spoke again, voice shaking. "Tonight she laughed about it. She said, 'Paige will figure it out.'" Emma's quiet sounds filled the house. Daniel worked from home so he could stay close, and for the first time in years, no money was leaving my account. That first month without the transfer felt unfamiliar, almost like a phantom sensation. I kept opening my banking app, half expecting to see the withdrawal. It never came. There was only calm. Mom called often. "Paige, please, let's talk. Paige, I've been thinking a lot. Paige, you can't shut me out forever." I didn't respond. I wasn't ready. Then, one afternoon, the voicemail changed. "Paige," Mom said, her voice heavy and emotional. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But please let me meet Emma. Let me be her grandmother. I'll do better, I promise." I listened to the message 3 times. Daniel watched me closely. "You're thinking about it?" he asked. "Am I wrong if I am?" I asked. "You're not wrong," he said gently. "You're hopeful. That's not the same thing." I called her back. "One chance," I said. "Emma's 1-month celebration. You can come, but that's it. If this goes badly, we're done." "I swear," she said quickly. "Thank you, Paige." We planned a small gathering, about 20 people. Grandpa, Dad, a few close friends, some coworkers, and Mom. Daniel helped with everything: decorations, food, music. The night before, he asked, "Are you sure?" I looked at Emma sleeping in her bassinet. "No, but I need a final answer." He nodded. He understood. This wasn't really about forgiveness. It was about clarity. The party started at 2 p.m. Grandpa arrived first, carrying a stuffed elephant nearly as big as Emma. Dad came alone. I noticed he and Mom had arrived separately. Friends arrived, then colleagues. The house filled with warmth and conversation. Emma slept through most of it, unaware of her own celebration. Mom arrived at 2:45. She walked in with Megan. I hadn't invited Megan. "Surprise," Mom said brightly. "Megan flew back early to meet her niece." Megan smiled, her practiced, camera-ready smile. "Congrats on the baby, sis." "Thanks for coming," I replied evenly. Daniel squeezed my hand, support and warning both. Mom moved through the room, hugging people, praising the decorations, acting like a devoted grandmother. To an outsider, everything looked perfect. But I watched her eyes. She kept checking where Grandpa was, tracking him across the room. Daniel noticed too. "She's planning something," he murmured. "I know," I said. About 30 minutes in, I went to the kitchen to grab napkins. Megan was there, on her phone. She didn't see me. "Mom, you need to talk to him soon," Megan whispered. "I can't live like this. I need that money." I froze. "I know," Mom said softly through the speaker. "I'm working on it. Just wait for an opening. I promised you I'd handle it." I stepped back quietly. So that was it. The apology, the tears, the second chance. It had all been about the inheritance. I returned to the living room calm and focused. Daniel took one look at my face and understood. "What happened?" he asked. "Watch," I said. Mom had cornered Grandpa near the window. She placed a hand on his arm, using the gentle, persuasive tone she'd perfected over decades. What she didn't realize was that someone had set up a karaoke system earlier. The wireless microphone was on, the speaker volume was up. "Dad," her voice echoed clearly through the room, "I know things have been tense, but Megan needs the inheritance more than Paige does. Paige has a husband and a career. Megan has nothing." The room went silent. Mom kept talking, unaware. "I'm not saying cut Paige out. Just reconsider the split. It's only fair." Someone coughed. Mom turned, finally noticing the faces, the microphone, the blinking red light. The color drained from her face. "That's not, this is being taken out of context," she said quickly. "What context would justify that?" my colleague Sarah asked, stepping forward. "You don't understand our family," Mom replied. "I understand enough," Sarah said firmly. "You're negotiating inheritance money at your granddaughter's party." Grandpa stepped away from Mom. "That's what everyone here just heard what I've known for years," he said. "My daughter treats her children as resources, not people." I stood up. "Mom," I said. She turned to me, tears forming. "Paige, please, this is a misunderstanding." "Stop," I said calmly. I moved to the center of the room. "I gave you one last chance today," I said, "not because I believed you'd changed, but because I needed certainty." Mom reached for me. "For 9 years, I sent you $4,500 every month. That's $146,000. The room reacted instantly. "While I was sending that money, you told people I was selfish, that I never helped, that I was too busy." I paused. "The night I nearly died, you were at a casino. My daughter was alone in the NICU." Mom was crying openly now. "And today, at my child's celebration, you're still focused on money." I took a breath. "I'm not saying this out of anger," I said. "I'm saying it out of love, for my daughter, for myself, and even for you, because someone should have stopped this a long time ago." I met her eyes. "We're done. Don't call, don't come by." She was stunned, and for the first time I felt no guilt. Then she snapped. "You're ungrateful," she said, "after everything I did for you." "You raised me," I replied. "You didn't own me." Megan tried to intervene, but the room had already decided. Dad stepped forward. "Linda, we're leaving." She didn't fight. The performance was over. At the door, she turned back. "You'll regret this someday." "No," I said. "I spent 9 years thinking I needed you. I was wrong." They left. The room exhaled. I felt free. 2 weeks later, Grandpa called. "It's done," he said. "The will has been updated. 70% was placed in trust for Emma. 20% went to Dad. 10% to Mom and Megan, conditional on 6 months of therapy. I don't expect her to do it, Grandpa said, but the option exists. The changes came quickly. Without my money, the spending stopped. Megan's influencer career ended. She got her first real job at 29. Dad called once. I don't deserve forgiveness, he said. No, I agreed, but thank you for finally speaking up. He cried. I let him. Over time, my bank account grew. For the first time in nearly a decade, it stayed mine. 3 months later, Emma slept in her crib while Grandpa rocked beside her, reading softly. Daniel made coffee in the kitchen. This is my life now. Healing isn't straight. Some days I still reach for my phone out of habit. Then I remember the mother I wanted never existed. And that's okay. I found my family, the ones who show up, the ones who choose me.